Allah for everything.
Alhamdulillah.
We know Rosh, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, everything God give me.
Hello guys, hope you're all doing well. It's Amin from the NH2 podcast. We've got another episode today, and today I'm joined by a special guest, Alex Lafleur, playing for Chesham, currently left back. How you doing, Alex?
I'm all good. How you doing?
Good. How's your journey going here? Nice
Yeah,
day.
it was alright to be fair. It didn't take too long. Obviously, grew up round this way as well, so it brings back some memory, as we said.
That's good. And obviously, for those watching, I'm sure a lot of people know you through your TikTok, through playing for Chesham and everything. But do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so like as I say, 25 years old. Obviously, played football throughout my whole life. Grew up around Watford area. Played for Watford Academy. Then moved on to Luton when I was about 13, and then obviously my journey's sort of really started in men's football since I was about 16, 17, when I was at Wealdstone as well. So, and I've played now 285 games, I think it is. So, I getting old in non-league.
Yeah, and lots of experience as
yeah,
well.
definitely.
So let's start from the beginning. With all
Yeah.
my guests, I like to start from the beginning so people can see, the steps you took and everything.
Yeah.
So the first step was Watford, was it?
Yeah, so started Watford in their development centre under sevens. So we're training like a few times a week, and then you move on. You either get a decision whether you kept on to the academy for under nines, or they just pass you on and you continue whatever doing. So yeah, started under nines Watford Academy. That was training 4 times a week plus matches at the weekend. So it almost feels like you're a mini professional at that sort of stage.
Yeah.
Watford was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, like I say, that sort of training is unbelievable from such a young age, and the discipline you learn from that as well. Stuff not just on the pitch but off the pitch. So I remember even every training session when we saw our coaches, the handshakes, the eye contact, you learn so much just off the pitch as well as on. So yeah, I was there till under 12s, but in my year we had a player called Jadon Sancho, which is obviously he's gone on to amazing things as well. So I was there till under 12s, and then I got released from there. Then moved on to Luton Academy under 13s. Luton was brilliant, a complete different style of football as well. I think at the time they were either National League or League Two, I want to say, when I was there at 13. But the care was so much different. I think because they were a lower club and because they didn't have much money, they really cared about bringing the youth through, which was perfect for an academy player. So I was there, until under 16s, which was perfect. Obviously, didn't get my scholarship there, which is part of life. You sort of learn to grow up with it. And then was at Wealdstone from 17 years old. Then started university as well. So I went down to Southampton, Solent University, which was brilliant. But I continued my trade within football. Played for Gosport, played for Salisbury whilst I was down there. Then after university finished, I moved back up this way, obviously. Started a role as a school teacher, which is, never thought I'd be a school teacher when I was young.
Yeah.
But it's perfect, the role. And then I've played for Beaconsfield, Kings Langley, back up this way, then moved to Nuneaton, and then now at Chesham, and absolutely loving it.
Yeah. Roller coaster.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like a lot of clubs actually going through that, but no, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, we'll get through all of them in today's episode. So let's obviously start with Watford. People, you don't just turn up at Watford, right? So
No.
you've obviously got to get scouted, you've got to do this.
Yeah.
What led to you being spotted by Watford?
So I was playing Sunday League at about 7 years old. And obviously you don't really know anything about sort of scouts or anything then, but one of the coaches who I was with moved on to another Sunday League club, and he said, if you come and swap clubs, go to this other club called Rickmansworth, then we'll put you into a trial for the development centre for Watford. So I was like, okay, didn't really know much about football. My mum at the time didn't know much about football either.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
she was like, okay, we'll give it a shot, really. And then, went over to development centre, which was amazing. Loved my time there at Watford. And it was a lot of futsal. So I can remember when I was 7, we would have these big speakers that played like Brazilian music, and you'd have a futsal and you were learning all individual technical drills. So that's how I sort of came about to get into Watford, I'd say.
Yeah. And obviously technical football. You obviously learnt in tight corners, things like that.
Yeah,
Tight
definitely.
spaces. How's that led to, because different footballers sometimes they're just, you put them on a pitch, 11 aside, 10 aside, and it's just long balls. What's the difference?
Yeah, I was going to say, playing from under nines into men's football it's obviously
Yeah.
completely different. It's brilliant to obviously learn the technical sides and everything. I think as you get older, you learn more of the tactical side of the game. You're just playing for the love when you're younger. And like I say, obviously I still love it. Otherwise I wouldn't do it now. But things change from that. And I still feel like I learn, even at 25, I still learn so much. We go into this season just coming into the National South, which I'm sure we'll speak about, is I've learnt so much over a year of just playing in the National South. But yeah, the technical side's amazing at academies. You're working with elite coaches, you're playing against amazing footballers who have gone on to do brilliant things in the game. But then, yeah, when you go to the men's side of the football, it's the tactical decisions and managing games. If you're 1-0 up, how do I manage that game, for example, when taking throw-ins and everything from the side.
With Watford, obviously, and going on to Luton, you said there was a big change because Watford at the time was at League 2,
Yeah, I think they were National League or League 2 at the time.
National League, League 2, and then moving to obviously Luton was National League, just International League, I think.
Yeah.
How's the tactical differences and the playing differences, like you said earlier?
I have to say, the coaches at Luton were so much better. So much better. And like I said, I think it was because there was more care, there was more commitment from them because they wanted to put youth through, and there was a lot more Luton youth going through into their first team at the time. Even if I give an example, let's say I was training at Luton and we were doing a possession drill, I might have one of the coaches just come over and whisper in my ear, for the next 5 minutes you can only use your right foot, for example.
Challenges, yeah.
And it's just those individual challenges, so no one else knows your challenge, and other players would have their individual challenges as well, but it's just working on things that they might notice. Actually, he needs to work more on his weaker foot, so the next 5 minutes you can only use your weaker foot. Whereas at Watford it just wasn't like that, and I think, like I say, I think at the time they just got the Italian owners come in, so the care wasn't really about putting the youth through, and you don't really see many of them come through now. But no, yeah, Luton was perfect, I think, to sort of really develop on that sort of side as well.
Yeah, and as a kid, obviously you were a young kid when you were there. Those individual challenges, from what I feel, is it kind of makes you feel special because everyone's got their special thing. So how important do you think it is that you kind of feel valued and you feel like you have a purpose? You're not just being there to be sold or something.
No, definitely. Everyone on our team was quite a tight knit. I wouldn't say there was one amazing individual. Everyone was quite a tight knit, so everyone worked hard for each other. And I think that's why we did so well against the bigger teams when we played. Because everyone, when we used to play, we just Luton, it's a small little club. But they'd be surprised on how well we could do. And like I say, there was no individuals, but as a team, everyone worked their socks off for each other. It's just a lot more care at the club, Luton, and a lot of love for Luton in specific.
Yeah, and as a kid, we're obviously talking a lot about your younger years because it's going to lead on to getting older and things, but what do you think made you stand out? Because obviously you're a left back, so...
I think left back's perfect, to be fair. If you're a left back, you've got a really good chance. There's not many people that grow up and want to be a left back. I can't say that I grew up and wanted to be a left back either. When I was at Watford, I was playing more as a winger, and that's where I sort of started. And then eventually, like you say, there's not really many left backs in teams. So then you end up moving back to a fullback. So I started playing fullback from 9-10 years old, and that's all I've ever known. So, like I say, obviously an attacking fullback. But, yeah.
What more could you want?
I was going to say, but it's perfect for my role because, especially even to this day now, there's not many left backs around. So it makes the shop window, obviously, a lot more open for you.
And would you say, was it pace that got you?
Yeah, pace, so quick as well. But the endurance sort of side, you have to be able to go up and down. Those two traits, definitely.
Because a lot of people don't realise they obviously think stamina, you have to, centre mid, CDM. But left backs, I think, because I remember once I got put in a left back, I was tired first half. You're going running up, down, and just straight up and down.
It feels exactly. And then this season, and last season being predominantly wing back as well. So it feels like you're doing double the work because you're going up and down, but you've got no one on your side. Sometimes as a fullback, you've got your left winger there, so you're able to pass to him to underlap or overlap.
Yeah.
Whereas a wing back, you're having to do it all yourself, and a lot of the time you're 2v1 because you're having to mark a winger and a fullback and trying to work out when to jump up or when to stay back.
Yeah, you've got defend and attack and everything.
You've got to defend and attack, get crosses in, score goals. So, no, it's perfect.
And obviously you learn these things at a young age, which you carried on later. You learn your tactical stuff later on.
Yeah.
And stepping into senior football.
Yeah.
So after Watford and Luton, what was the next step?
So after Luton, not get my scholarship at 16, I then went into Wealdstone.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing about non-league at all. I'll be honest with you. Starting off there, just turned 17. I thought, what on earth have I got myself in for?
Yeah.
I thought, what on earth? But it was the best experience ever. I can remember my first training session with Wealdstone first team, and it was so scary. It was like 16, 17, on really slim, skinny, going against 30-year-old men. And my first session, I got the ball, and a player called Eddie Ashodi, and he was at Watford as well when I was at Watford. So he was someone I looked up to. He's come up from behind me and absolutely just clattered me from behind. Yeah. And I remember the Wealdstone manager, Gordon Bartlett, has got his hands in his head going, Eddie, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm there just lying on the floor, just being absolutely knocked out. And Eddie's words back were, if he's going to play with us, Gaffer, he's got to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that was such a learning curve as well, that even though you're 16, 17 years old, these guys aren't going to sort of tolerate that.
No,
you have to be at their standard as well. And then I eventually made my debut for Wealdstone in a local cup game for the first team. I was on the bench to start, and then one of the players, Sam Cox, broke his nose. So I came on there, had an absolute brilliant game, got man of the match as well. And then, life sort of kicked on from there, really. Yeah.
And obviously National League and those kind of leagues, it's a lot different to Watford, like you said. You're playing futsal, and then next minute you're getting clattered from behind.
Definitely. The thing is how important 3 points is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
At 5 o'clock, for example, when you've just walked back into the changing room now, whereas you're a kid and we could have just lost, for example, and everyone's laughing and joking about. Whereas now in football, 3 points is a must, especially if you're in and around the promotion or trying to fight to survive relegation. 3 points is massive in football. And it's interesting when we have players come on loan to us as well from your big teams. And for them, 3 points still isn't important. So I've always said for under 21s, under 23 players, they have to go and play men's first team to learn the importance of 3 points.
Yeah, someone very wise said you got to die for 3 points.
Yeah, you got to die for 3 points, exactly.
Because that's some people's livelihood. Because academy football, if you're at Chelsea Academy getting loaned down or whatever, end of the week you're getting paid. That's more you could ask for. But with these things, obviously you're getting paid as a footballer.
Yeah, you're still getting paid.
You've got your fans. It's a local club.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. So.
Exactly that. Like at Chesham, we've got such a good relationship with the fans as well. So we had for example, our awards night afterwards, and all the fans are there, celebrating all together. Yeah, it's the local clubs are brilliant for sort of the connection with the fans. And we had loads at Hemel yesterday, all singing so loud as well. So
it's
they're
like
brilliant.
Family, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like a tight knit family.
Yeah, and with Chesham now, let's talk about Chesham. Obviously, big move to get to Chesham, and you're playing very well there. And what led to you joining Chesham in the first place?
So I was at Nuneaton Borough from the start of the 23-24 season. Was doing really well there, absolutely flying. And before that, in the summer, the Chesham manager had got in contact with me about potentially coming over, but the money Nuneaton were offering, it was a no-brainer, even though the travel was quite far, being up in Birmingham. So it was a good couple of hours, but it was worth it. However, the club collapsed around about December, January time. So I sort of got out there early, was on the phone to Chesham manager James Duncan, and we'd spoke for about a month prior to me joining. And yeah, joined on board probably mid-December time, made my debut there, and that first season there, we absolutely flew. I think we were first or second in the league at the time when I joined, and I think we went on an unbeaten run for however many games, and we won the league, I think, 6 weeks early. So yeah, it was brilliant at Chesham, and then yeah, obviously stayed again for this season as well.
And with Nuneaton, what led to it being collapsed? Because these things happen a lot more than people think with all the financials and stuff.
So the landlord of the stadium, they didn't pay rent for however many months, and then I think in the contract they could obviously remove the club out of the ground. So I don't think anyone plays there anymore. I think they're knocking it down and turning it potentially into flats. I don't know what they're going to do with that big size land. Nuneaton was a great club, brilliant players. Like I said, we had some players like Leroy Lita, Carl Storer, those types of players who have been there and done it at the high levels in the professional game. So it was brilliant to learn off them as well.
Yeah, and talking about obviously the financials of that, do you think it happens a lot more with obviously these small clubs? You know, it's hard to kind of get funding. It's usually just through player sales and loans.
Yeah,
and stuff.
It's that, and a lot of sponsorships as well. You need a lot of sponsorships to sort of get that money in. That's the big way to sort of keep clubs going. I remember when I was at Salisbury, they relied heavily on the fans' attendance to pay players' wages. So luckily at Salisbury, we used to get quite a lot of fans, probably around just under 1,000, around 1,000 each home game. So sometimes you might have your pay a couple of weeks later because they were waiting for a couple more home games, for example. So you weren't getting your money regularly. If we had a few away games, your pay would probably be later. So it's interesting.
Yeah, but it's kind of that being on the edge, and again, the fans are the ones who help you guys.
Exactly.
It's that relationship.
Exactly.
Again,
Fans put money into the club as well, even just little things like you say at half time or at the end of the game, buying stuff from the bar, merchandise, those types of things. All those little things contribute so massively to the lower league clubs.
Yeah. And now moving to completely other side, teaching. Obviously, it's a big thing in your bio. It's teacher, footballer.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that teaching side. What led to you starting, obviously, education, university first?
So I went to Southampton Solent University, did football studies there. To be honest with you, I didn't enjoy university. It wasn't where I wanted my life to go. All I'd ever known was football. Everyday football was all I'd ever known. So to then get hit and say that you're not going to be playing football regularly anymore, I didn't know where my life was going to go. So my mother said to me, go do university, go do it within football. It's something obviously I still enjoyed, but at Southampton, no, I didn't enjoy it at all. I'd be back home most weekends, to be honest with you. I didn't sort of live that uni lifestyle. I still obviously played football, semi-professional for Gosport and Salisbury whilst at university. Two brilliant clubs as well, brilliant managers, brilliant players that I played with. And then I was working a coaching job as well. So a very sort of different to a uni sort of classic student who be doing pot noodles in their kitchen in halls every day. I'd after games on Saturdays, let's say I had a game for Salisbury, I'd then travel back home. On the Sunday, I'd work a coaching job, so just like a little coaching company. And then after, mother and I used to cook loads of food together, obviously like healthy food, like rice, chicken, pasta. No pot noodles for me. And then a big cool bag, I'd take it down to uni, and then I'd sort of have my dinners and lunches there. Was at the coaching company, which was called Sports for Kids. Brilliant. Was just doing little Sunday sessions with loads of different like young kids all the way up through the ages. And then my boss used to work at this private school called Griffin House. And the headmaster got back in contact with my boss and said, we need you to come in for a year to cover maternity. My boss obviously couldn't do it because he was full-time with Sports for Kids. But he recommended me and said, look, I've got someone who's young. I think I was 21 at the time. And said he'd be brilliant to do it. I remember when I first walked in there, and obviously you can imagine what private schools are like. I just looked and went, what is this place? It looked like Hogwarts, for example. So I covered a year for maternity there. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
What did you like about it?
Just for example, it's in a countryside, this school, so you can imagine just the greenery, the sports we've got, the sports we do.
Yeah.
Sports, for example, we do lacrosse. When I grew up,
What's that? Yeah.
what was that? Didn't
Yeah.
have a clue. And obviously going out regularly for fixtures against other schools, it was perfect. So I ended up, after maternity cover, the headmaster had a meeting with me and said, we'd like to keep you full time. How do you feel about that? And I said, yeah, that'd be brilliant. So came in the following year as a PE teacher, then worked my way to head of boys games, and then eventually moved on to head of sport. But I've just left the school during the Easter holidays, so I'm moving on to a bigger private school called Gateway in Great Missenden. Lovely school as well, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be the director of sport there. So
Big.
it's a big
Career
role.
path,
Yeah, it's a big role. Like I say, as you and I spoke earlier, I've been on LinkedIn looking at other directors of sports and how can I network around them and what advice can they give me as well.
Yeah, and with LinkedIn, obviously I'm a university student. Like we
Yeah.
were talking earlier about things like that, and obviously just started going into LinkedIn. Connect.
Exactly, just connect with everyone.
Yeah. How important is that for you as a, to get yourself into teaching and connecting with others?
No, it's been perfect. Like I say, I'm always on LinkedIn. I'm adding loads of director of sports at the moment, and sort of seeing what ideas, scrolling through their pages, what ideas have they got, just picking up loads of bits and bobs and what I could potentially bring into Gateway and have those ideas to progress the school PE wise and everything.
Yeah, and obviously LinkedIn ties into a lot more things about networking, connections, and obviously it's so important for me as obviously a podcast guy and for you as a teacher and things like that you know someone and that guy knows someone.
Definitely.
I remember a couple of weeks ago as well, you were telling me about the cameraman, the one who got all those nice snaps about all those nice pictures, and obviously how you knew him and you recommended him to the club and things like that.
So I was when I was at Beaconsfield, the cameraman there, and then he got back in contact with me. Obviously when I moved to Chesham, and I said, look, definitely I'd recommend you to join Chesham. So then I had a meeting with the chairman at Chesham and said, look, this cameraman's brilliant. This is something that Chesham then needed to take themselves up to the next step as well, on the sort of more social media side, sort of get their name back. Like you look at, for example, Dorking Wanderers, they've absolutely smashed the social media sort of side of it. So yeah, it just took Chesham to that next step, having a brilliant cameraman. It's obviously brilliant for players on their social media as well. That's what we all want.
Exactly.
Pictures straight away after
4K,
a game.
Ultra
Exactly.
HD,
Yeah,
all
the
that.
HD on. Perfect.
Yeah, and as a teacher, so you've obviously got your teaching with as director of sport and head of sport, and then you got your football. So what does an average week look like for Alex?
Oh, busy. I'll tell you that, busy.
Motion.
I'm always up around about 6 a.m, get to work about 7:30. Obviously a full day of teaching. It's brilliant, love it. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays, I see a PT. So on those 2 days straight after work, so I see a PT, and he's actually one of my teammates at Chesham. So I see him way too much. I see him way too much. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, have PT with him, which is brilliant as well, because then he knows my sort of workload with football, because obviously he can see it as well as me obviously telling him how my body's feeling. Obviously Tuesdays, Thursdays after work, we have training. And then Friday, that's after work, is a complete day off. Like just try and just switch off. I'm always going through emails late in the evenings anyway. But I have my recovery boots. So I do the whole recovery boot system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I do those, do some yoga on a Friday evening. Obviously have a good meal. Obviously eat well.
Not
and
pot
then,
noodles.
No pot noodles.
No pot
No,
noodles,
stay away from the pot noodles, everyone. And then Saturday, again, I'll get up usually first thing. I can't lie in. That's one thing I can't do, is have a lie-in. Saturday, I'll get up first thing in the morning, usually go and get my car cleaned or go for a walk, haircut, whatever it may be. Come back, again, do some more yoga as well, and then go out to obviously meet the boys. And then, Sunday, it's like your final day off. You just want to just switch off completely. And because you've had such a busy week and you work on a Saturday, it feels like as well. Sunday is the only day off. So you'll have your mate saying to you, "Oh, why don't we do this on a Sunday?" And you're just literally there like, "I'm exhausted, absolutely finished." So a lot of Sundays is just completely resting as well.
Yeah, and obviously, do you have time, would you say, for family and loved ones? Because obviously you got pretty much 2 jobs nearly.
Yeah, so
2 jobs actually.
a lot of like family, I don't know what you call them, like family functions. Everyone meets
Yeah.
together. Obviously, I've got a big family. I'm from Mauritius, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of the family that come. A lot of the time I'll miss those because predominantly they're on a Saturday, so
Yeah.
I might have to get there late in the evenings, meeting the family. Yeah, unfortunately, that sort of side of it, you do miss a lot of those. Even obviously we play on Boxing Day.
Even
All
that,
family meets on Christmas Day. Obviously, I'll meet them Christmas Day. They'll all stay over together. I'll have to leave Christmas evening because I need to then get myself ready for football and Boxing Day. So
It's tough, isn't
it
it?
is tough, but like I say,
Has to
it's something that I've always been committed to. So I would never change that.
Yeah, and these things, to be honest, it's as tough as it is, it's for the greater good because it puts
Exactly.
you in a better position that you could provide for them later
Definitely,
on.
the
Things.
financial side's perfect having 2 incomes. Yeah, if you can get it right, as we said earlier, having a good career on the work sort of side of it and earning decent money from football, you can be doing a lot better than potentially a lot of League 2 players.
Exactly, and that's good for future generations as well, you know.
Exactly, you sort of secure yourself,
Yeah.
like you and I spoke earlier about it. A lot of players, after like 5 years of retiring, full-time footballers, they retire. They've got nothing left after, whereas having that career, you're always secure being a teacher.
Exactly, and making the right decisions as well
Definitely.
whilst you're playing. You know, not the flashy lifestyle, the partying and all that.
No.
You know, invest, do things, save your money,
Yeah, exactly.
do it to the right things and stuff.
Definitely.
And beyond playing as well, obviously you got teaching career that you could do after leaving. Is that the plan? You know,
Yeah,
future
I
years?
think once I retire from football, I definitely want to move on to these bigger schools. Like, for example, we spoke about Millfield.
Mhm.
That's the ideal school once I've completely switched off from football, and football will always be part of my life, but
Exactly.
it's not taking up any time of my life, I'd say. Obviously, my kids will probably be running around playing football, fingers crossed, touch
Alex
wood.
Junior, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, those are the types of schools that I'd like to sort of work for and work with, and that's LinkedIn's been the perfect spot where I've started networking around to these schools, just to sort of get my name, not in the door, but just sort of before just sort of knocking on the door, just going, look, I'm here. This is what I'm doing currently, football wise. This is me. So then in, let's say, another 10 years time, who knows what will happen.
So connect.
Exactly.
Set things up for
just
later.
keep connecting with everyone.
Exactly, yeah. And speaking about connecting, you've been connecting across the seas to Mauritius. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're from Mauritius.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's been a crazy one over the last month. I sort of looked and went, I'd love to play for Mauritius national team. Obviously a really small country as well, so I thought chances could be good.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to go about it. I was like, I don't know how to get in contact with anybody from Mauritius. We've got family's got like a holiday home out there, and I said to them, do you know anybody? And they went, no, like Mauritius don't even really play football. So I ended up joining a Facebook group called Mauritius in the UK.
Oh, wow.
It kicked off this.
Connect.
And I post on there just basically saying, semi-professional footballer, I want to get in contact with the national team. Does anyone have any contacts? My God, I had about 200 messages. Phone was going off, Facebook requests, everything. Everyone's like, yeah, I can help you out. Some people I'm looking going, you look a bit dodgy. I don't know if I can trust you. Yeah,
deposit fee.
Exactly. Yeah, if you give me £150, I can sort you out. But there was like a few realistic people who gave me contacts and everything of the Mauritius national team captain. So him and I are now in contact, which is brilliant. And then, long story short, I had a phone call meeting with one of the ambassadors from Mauritius and the national team manager. So we sort of had a talk about my football position, what I'm like as a player, and then spoke about Mauritius and the sort of styles that they play and everything, and their football and where they want to obviously go. So there's talks about me potentially, touch wood again,
Yeah.
that could go out end of May time, which would be an absolute experience and a half. So
Lovely holidays, all nice and warm.
catch a nice tan, I will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with Mauritius, so did both your parents from Mauritius? They came here. What's the?
No, so my father was born in Mauritius. Obviously, Mauritius back then was part of the British colony.
Yeah.
And then he moved over to England like a few months old. So mum's from England, and then dad's born in Mauritius, but he's lived his whole life here in England.
Okay, so was it post? I'm trying to look at the dates and figures. Was it around the 80s, 90s, 70s? What year roughly was that?
What, when
they came over and things like that?
Yeah, it would have been about the 70s. Yeah, for him. Yeah.
So was it still a colony back then, or?
Yeah, so back then, it
Okay.
was still part of the British colony.
Yeah, because a lot of players I've been talking to,
things
things like that, they obviously come from here and there. And I saw a story on my phone as well, on scrolling on Reels. I saw it that some guy, I think it was Grenada or something like that.
Okay.
All he did was he sent them an email. Like you said with the Facebook groups, he was like, I want to play for my international country and I do this.
Yeah.
Is there a chance or something like that? And
Then
just
you've got to
asking
try.
the question, saying,
Exactly,
Yeah,
and that's
fair.
what I thought. I was like, do you know what? Join this group. I'm sure somebody's gonna give me some good advice. And like I say, speak to all the players now in the national team, which is brilliant. And hopefully I can go out there and sort of kick my career on again.
yeah, it's good. And obviously back to teaching now. So with obviously, you post on TikTok as well your stuff, and that's how I actually got into
Yeah,
contact
I've
with you.
tried to get on the TikTok malarkey. It's tough. It's a
Yeah,
tough
it's
world
tough.
out there. I've just sort of posted more just like football bits here and there,
Highlights and stuff.
really. Yeah, just a few highlights. Obviously, I had to get a few goals in as well on the videos. And then the biggest one I think for me popped off was my sort of career in football and where that's sort of taken me to today. Obviously, I did it from when I was at Watford all the way sort of through to where I am now. So that sort of seemed to get a lot of likes, and I've had a lot of comments from that and sort of talking about my journey, or people have messaged me going, oh, I remember playing against you when you were at Luton in the under-13s. I used to play for Brentford or whatever. So it's brilliant that you have those little circles and people sort of all remember each other as well.
Yeah, and have any students, obviously you do teaching, have any students kind of found your account and they're like, oh, Alexander, never
Yeah, do you know what? Students I'm really close with. I actually have a lot of them come to my games for Chesham, which is amazing. Amazing that as a teacher, they see more than just a teacher as well. And you have that sort of role model side to it as well. Loads of them come to the games, and as I'm walking out the tunnel, I always hear, Mr. Lafleur, Mr. Lafleur. And one of the children, got a shirt as well. So then I took their shirt, got it all signed by the players, gave it back to them. It has a closer relationship with the children, but then also a nice relationship with the parents as well. So I have a lot of mums and dads message me or email me on my work email saying, oh, brilliant win at the weekend, or oh, we saw your goal, or whatever it may be. So that sort of support from them is perfect as well, that you can be a teacher but also you can be that role model further on, and they can actually see you doing something that you love as well.
And it helps as well because it's pretty much tying your two careers together.
Exactly.
Obviously, they know he's a footballer, someone they can relate to, and a teacher as well. So it's really good as well.
No, exactly. When, for example, doing my trial day at my new school, as soon as I joined, the first thing everyone was going on about was, oh, you play for Chesham, oh, we go to Chesham games as well. And you're like, oh, perfect. So you're going to have more support from your new school that I'm joining. So it's lovely.
The mini ultras.
I know, they'll have the Chesham shirts on. Exactly.
And obviously they watch you, they come to your games and stuff like that. What advice would you give to obviously younger, not students, but just younger guys that obviously everyone wanted to be a footballer when they were younger, let's be real here. And obviously things happen, they start teaching or they start working in this firm, that firm. What advice would you give to them really? What,
ones that are still playing football? Or?
Yeah, young ones that have football, but also, things may open up later on. What do you say to them?
Football is such a crazy game. And I would always describe it as when we were 9-10 years old, we wanted to play for your Barcelonas, Real Madrids. Then you get to about 12, 13, and then you go, all right, I'll take playing for Gillingham, Southend sort of clubs. And then when then you get older and you get to sort of 19, 20, you go, if I can just make any money in football, then you've sort of made it. Yeah, it's brilliant to say that you can earn money from football. It's fantastic. It's just the commitment sort of side of it. As you obviously get to the late teenager stages, where do you want your life to go? Are you going to get distracted? That was the big thing. Are you going to get distracted by parties or anything like this?
Flashy lifestyle.
Yeah, the flashy lifestyle. Or are you committed to your craft? Do you want to really sort of take your football to the next level, no matter what level it may be? But do you actually want to earn a career sort of out of it? So yeah, the big thing I would always advise is the commitment sort of side of it. What are you doing? For example, let's say you're the best player in the squad, and I've just joined. What do I have to do to be better than you? What are you doing on the training pitch? Are you the first one there? All right, can I get on the pitch first before you? I'll stay later than you, working on crosses, free kicks, anything like that. So yeah, it's just that commitment side, that pushing yourself, that little extra 1%.
The hunger and the drive.
Exactly,
there.
definitely.
Yeah. Being a young player, obviously, you had, Eddie
Eddie Ashodi, yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Ashodi clapped into you, welcomed you into National League. And how was it there that you're obviously the young, skinny 17-year-old looking up to all these players? How did you, start competing with them?
So, yeah, obviously he was there at 17, and you then do a classic when you're young, you go on loan. So I went on loan to a club called Chalfont, which was brilliant. You played every game in the season, just turned, 17, 18. It's pivotal just to sort of learn, because I'd made loads of mistakes back then because I didn't have the tactical side of it. Didn't know anything about it. All I'd known was nice, pretty football, academy,
Brazilian
lovely pitches. Yeah. Whereas then going to Chalfont, I think of non-league, they were step 4 at the time. And then you're coming up to these pitches that are just divots everywhere. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this is different. And you can't always just play lovely on the floor. Sometimes it has to be more long ball. You have to switch it up.
Yeah.
So that was brilliant, pivotal to go on loan. And that's another piece of advice, actually, when you're talking about advice for young people. If they're at a club, to go on loan. If they're not playing, I've even sometimes said it to players that I still play with to this day. If they're not playing week in, week out, move on to another club. You might have to drop down a league, but if you can, let's say in our league, the National South, and if you're not playing, drop down one league, get the games in, and then you could potentially in 2-3 years' time be jumping up past the National South.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's like, for example, to say that I've played nearly 300 games in non-league at only 25 is crazy. Yeah, I'm going to try and set myself for about 1,000 games here.
Yeah, and obviously, like you said, just get out there, and that applies. That's a key theme that I've seen with all my guests. Is just the ones that, because obviously the people that I get on there, the top 1%, let's say, because all of them have a key theme that just experience is better than just research. Because if you just any topic, let's say with gym, right? If you just research, how many sets do I have to do, blah, 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 you're not going to go as far as the guy that just lifts weights.
No.
He's going to be the guy that's winning and miles ahead of you.
Yeah, so, no, definitely, yeah. Going to play games is massive. Having your CV to say that you've played 30, 40 games in a season is perfect, rather than that you made a few appearances, a few starts and a couple of bench appearances. Yeah, to build your CV, that's the most important thing for a young person. I can still remember one of my mates, we were at a party one time and we were having a discussion, and he played for Watford under 23s at the time. Yeah. But he hadn't played any men's games, and I was playing step 3 for Salisbury at the time. And I was jealous of him because he was in an under 23s environment, training every day. Yeah. But his words were to me, I'm jealous of you. Because he said, let's say a League 2 manager comes in, who's he going to take? Someone who's only played under 18s or under 23s football, no men's experience, no tactical side of how important 3 points are, or is he going to take someone who'd at the time done 150 non-league games? So yeah, playing that men's football, especially playing week in, week out, is so important.
Yeah, and experience is much better than just having the theory. You need to have practical as well, like you said, tactics and everything. Yeah. And let's talk about, obviously, one of the things is what you get with playing a lot of football is that mental strength, right? And you've done that through your hundreds of games, 300. Yeah. We'll look at more as well. Yeah. And as a young guy, though, you don't have much experience, You're very not emotionally unstable, but things happen. You could cry easily, whatever, if you're a kid. And you said earlier you were released by Watford. How's it like being released at a young age?
Oh, that was one of the toughest days of my life. 12 years old, just pulled up to Vicarage Road with my mum. Walked into the meeting. I was with the under-12s coach and the academy manager, and shook my hand, the academy manager. And just as I went to go and sit down in the seat, his first words were to me, "First things first, we're not keeping you."
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it's so brutal. So brutal. Just no care of his words at all to a young 12-year-old. I was absolutely devastated. I was in the meeting trying to hold it in. Meeting finished about 10 minutes later. I was absolutely bawling my eyes out. And at the time, I didn't want to play football ever again. I was saying to my mum, I can still remember it clear as day in the car, saying to my mum, I don't want to play football, hate football. This, obviously, one person just crushed my dreams. Absolutely crushed my dreams. And then, obviously, luckily, I had a trial with Luton and got into their academy. And then it's all happy days again. So you either got the really highs, so you're signing for Luton, you're back on where you want to be. And then a few weeks before, the lows are lows, just getting released from Watford, and you think your life's over as well.
And do you think you reacted well at the time? Because obviously you said, I hate football, things like that. Because you're a kid, right?
You're a kid. I think it's one of those, in the moment, you hate football at the time, but a few days after, not that you're moved on, but you're like, actually, no, this is something I still want to pursue in. And then luckily, Luton gave me the chance and signed on with them.
Would you say that helped you for later on years and how to react?
Massively. I feel like I'm very strong now in that sort of dealing with rejection, I'd say. So when it came to not getting my scholar at Luton, I'd already had that experience being 12 years old. So don't get me wrong, it still hurt inside, but you'd sort of dealt with it a little bit longer. So you know how to deal with it a bit better as well. And then actually, instead of saying I don't want to play football again, your mind is, right, where do I go next? Where do I go to better to my career as well? And it still happens in non-league. Obviously, growing up, trying to learn your trade through non-league as well. Some managers are like, no, we don't like you, or you don't suit this, you don't suit that. That's part of rejection as well. I was even dealing with rejection up to like 20 years old at Beaconsfield. The manager just wasn't keen on me, didn't like me, and I had to deal with that. And luckily, I'd already dealt with that a few times before when I was younger. So I then moved on to another club and then continued my career. You sort of need to know what you want in life, and football is what I've always wanted in life. So if I ever got rejected now, even to this day, I still know I'd want to be playing football. I would never want to stop.
Yeah, and has it happened outside the pitch as well, maybe with your career and things like that? Little bumps, but you knew what to do and how to react to it?
Yeah. Like I say, obviously university as well. There was a point I nearly wanted to quit university as well because it wasn't something I wanted to do. But luckily, my mum's always been there. She's very strong-minded, always been good with advice. So if I've ever been rejected or anything, she's always been there to support me as a mum would, to give me that right advice to keep me on the right path as well. Yeah,
and obviously, let's talk about university as well. We brushed upon it earlier, but I want to go into more detail about what didn't you like about university?
I think, like I said earlier, all I'd ever known was football every day. And then to go to not really playing as much was just like, whoa, what is going on? And I feel like I felt lost at the time at 18, 19 years old. I felt lost going, where is my life going? I just thought I was losing sort of football. Even though I was still playing for Gosport and Salisbury, I thought my life is going not where I wanted it to. I nearly moved to Scotland during university as well.
Oh, wow. What led to that?
So nearly went to St Mirren's up in Scotland. So travelled all the way up there. I actually did a drive from England all the way up to Scotland. So I drove my car up, packed the car up. Yeah. I'd actually quit university, drove all the way up there. The deal didn't go through. and I had to go back to university pretty much within like a week. So that was a story and a half. So
Hello again, Professor. And I see you.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very complicated. So I got an Airbnb up there for like a few weeks, all paid for. The deal didn't go through, and then came back down and started uni again and continued at Salisbury. So yeah, a lot of mileage that day. A lot of mileage.
But you took that risk. You made that massive risk to move
Exactly.
across countries, and
Exactly. It's all I'd ever wanted was football. Full-time football was all I'd ever wanted, even still to this day. Do I take myself into full-time football or continue on the part-time sort of industry?
yeah, and with obviously, because I'm a university student myself, and
Yeah.
obviously this stuff is helping me listening to you talk about university and stuff. And
Yeah.
how is it like with all the lectures and balancing training and a
Yeah.
social life, like some say?
At university, I barely had a social life. I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone, all the boys that I lived in the house with, we had like a 3-story house, and the
Big, yeah,
top bedroom was just, the whole floor was one bedroom. So they said, "Oh, you can have that room." So then it's not too
Chucked
loud
up,
for you down
yeah.
in the kitchen. So I said, "That's perfect." But no, I barely went on many nights out because, let's say they went out on a Friday night, I'd have a game Saturday.
Yeah,
There were so many times, might be on Tuesday or a Thursday, that I'd finish training, I'd go into the kitchen, I'm having to heat up my pasta, my chicken and stuff,
Yeah.
trying to refuel. They're all in the kitchen with the disco lights on, all getting
Yeah.
ready to
Yeah.
party, and I'm there
Yeah.
just sat in the kitchen having my
Getting your protein
my
in.
food. They were
Yeah.
having a few pot noodles before.
Yeah, and obviously that's the same with me. I think
Yeah,
obviously people, do what you want, right? If you want to have fun, have fun.
yeah,
But obviously you have an objective, which was football, and
yeah.
with me, obviously I've got my objective, which is, studies and also my podcasting. So sometimes you feel like you don't have time to do what everyone else is doing.
No,
You know.
no, you definitely don't.
But-
Yeah, with the lectures and everything. Again, it wasn't something I enjoyed, and I think that's how my job is now. I love being out, just
Mhm.
out, being active.
Hands-on, yeah.
Yeah, really hands on. Don't get me wrong, with the director of sport, there's a lot more roles that are more admin based and looking after people and everything in the role, which is brilliant as well. It's brilliant that I'm still learning that sort of trade of that side of it. But yeah, the lecture and stuff, I used to just I generally hated it. I used to say to my mum all the time, I just don't want to be here.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I said, at the time I was lost. I didn't know where my life was going, so I ended up choosing university. But then obviously COVID hit around university time as well.
Yeah.
And that was a killer in itself because lectures were pretty much cancelled all the time. Some of our work was like group work, but we couldn't meet. So
With Zoom or whatever.
yeah, we was having to do loads of Zooms. It just completely changed uni in itself. You couldn't meet up. It was just a lot of people moved back home then as well. So yeah, it really changed uni through that COVID time.
Yeah, and I was doing my GCSEs back then. It was 2020, 2021. And it was the same
You're
thing.
making me sound old there, doing your GCSEs and I'm nearly finishing
Yeah,
uni.
and I was obviously doing my GCSE work over Zoom. You had the
Yeah.
occasional prankster or whatever, Zoom bombing they called it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was really hard to focus for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
but
When we was having to present stuff as a group, because obviously we're all in different locations and presenting stuff, it was so awkward, the whole Zoom malarkey.
yeah, God, but we've gone past that now. and
Yeah, we're all
back
good
to
now.
normal.
We're all good.
ready to re-kick off.
Yeah.
And now let's do a quick fire round. Obviously, I put up a thing. Some questions sent in, some silly ones, but we've got some nice questions. First one is, who's your best non-league teammate?
Best non-league teammate.
The one you got along with the most?
Who I got along with the most?
Someone who taught you a lot.
Got a few, to be fair. Obviously, I'm going to go more on position, being like a left back as well, or left wing back. Oh, you've had some brilliant ones for fullbacks. Actually, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Fullback, actually, one who I got on with, who was my age as well, was Jaden Charles. He was a brilliant player as well. Was up with him at Nuneaton. We were the same age, and we were battling week in, week out to try and get in that sort of number 3, that slot.
Yeah.
Which was good. We had a good little battle, Jaden and I. Further up the sort of pitch, sort of teammates that I've really been close with off the pitch as well as on. I'd say Chesham, you could go through the whole lot, the whole team. I think everyone's so close together. Chesham is probably one of the best clubs I've been at group-wise, and that's obviously down to the manager and what sort of players they got in. There's no players that are outside the group. Everyone's together. Everyone's a tight knit. Yeah, Lewis Rolfe, actually, him and I, good character, funny character. He'll probably be listening to this later and he'll be happy that I've mentioned him. One of the best non-league characters I've sort of been around. Doesn't care about himself too much, but he keeps everyone together. Brilliant player as well. Him and I obviously sit next to each other in the changing rooms. We'll have some deep conversations as well, but at the same time, he's one that will just keep everyone together and has a good laugh.
That's good, yeah. And now to your other career, what's the best thing about teaching?
Best thing about teaching, I think, as we said, being a role model to the kids, and having that relationship with them, that they can see you as a teacher, as a footballer as well. So yeah, being a role model to them and seeing them achieve something in life. I regularly have emails from parents to say, "Oh, my child won this sporting award at the weekend," and I had a lot of emails because our game in the FA Cup this year was on TV.
Yeah, it was.
So we played against Lincoln in League One. I received loads of emails from parents showing me their child like watching the game on TV. So it shows that sort of care.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, you got the mini ultras.
Yeah, a few of them actually came as well. It was on an evening game, so a few of them still came to that game.
School next one, but
yeah,
let them off.
It was on that was a funny one because it was on a Monday evening, and it was the game was on ITV. So I'd been teaching all day, and I had to go straight from the game to the stadium. Yeah. So I'm having to eat my pasta whilst I'm like driving to the stadium. Yeah. I remember there was one bit the ball went off, or there was a substitute, and I was talking to the right winger at the time for Lincoln, and he was like, "So what did you like do before the game and stuff?" And I was like, "I've just been teaching all day," and then I've come straight from here. He's like, "What? No way." Cool. He's like, "I've never played against anyone who's been like who's had to work all day or anything like that."
World.
Yeah, they travelled up, had a nice relaxing journey,
spa,
went for a little walk and stuff around the town. Yeah, completely different.
And who's the toughest opponent you've played against?
Oh, toughest. What, in non-league or in general?
Your career so far, like
in career-wise, I'd probably say when I was younger, it'd probably be either Reece James or Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Chelsea.
Yeah, when we used to play Chelsea. Yeah,
wow.
I can remember at one point tackling Reece James and taking his boot off, and I had a mouth on him. He did. And he was like, "How dare you touch me?" I think it was at Luton or Watford at the time. He's like, "You only play for Watford, for example." He's like, "I'm at Chelsea," and it was like the kid's only like 10, 11 years old at the time. But yeah, them two, absolute handful, and they've obviously gone to kick it on at the big stage as well. Yeah.
And could you tell that they had potential back then? Because with young players, you can sometimes see that this guy's going to be something. Right?
Yeah, definitely. When I look, for example, someone that I played with every day was Jadon Sancho. He was head and shoulders above everyone. You could just see it, and our parents all used to say it as well. He's just on another level. He always used to play a year or two above, to be fair as well. But just the things he did, you give him the ball, dribble past everyone and go and score. It was a joy to watch, and it's brilliant to see what he's gone on to do as well.
Were you defending? Because obviously you're a left back, you said, and he was a right.
He was playing. To be fair, he'd play anywhere. I'll be honest with you.
Where the ball is, he'll be.
Yeah, I don't think they probably even gave him a role on a position. They just said, "Right, we have 11 men on the pitch. Jadon, you just play wherever. Go do what you want." He was more striker, number 10, sort of that age. But yeah, it's just the technical ability and what he could do with the ball. You see it still to this day, and what he's done in the Premier League and the German league. So.
Exactly, he went to Germany as well, cooked it up there.
So he left. So at Watford, we all had to go to the same school. So obviously he was at my school as well. So obviously you see them in the classroom, you see them outside, you're just with each other all the time. And then he left probably about under 13, 14 sort of age, and then moved on to Man City, first of all. And then obviously, kicked on his career at City. Yeah,
and how did he move to City? Did he ever tell you guys, or... Because obviously there's a lot.
To be fair, he had interest, I think, from many clubs. From young. I know Chelsea were always after him when we were younger through the academy, but I think his parents wanted him to move out of London. He lived in a rough area in London, in Elephant and Castle. So I think his parents, if he was going to move to a club, it would have to be to a club that was far away from that sort of trouble sort of side of London. Which was a brilliant move for him at Man City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's with a lot of players as well. You know, they come from rough areas. Football's the only thing that could get them out of poverty, pretty much, and
No, definitely.
either football or education.
Yeah, it
Just
means so much to them. There's
gotta-
you see them like videos of cages and stuff like that around London, and how
Yeah.
brutal it is. But they learn so much from that as well.
Yeah, I had my cages as well. Said it before in another episode.
Yeah.
The Chelsea Foundation used to come down to my little estate. You know,
Oh, really?
we called it the pen, the
Yeah.
little blue cage. They used to
Yeah.
come in and play football, give us the ball.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
kick
those are the
about,
days.
whatever.
Those are the days.
yeah, exactly. Cage ball, like they
Yeah.
called it. And another question was you talk a lot about pasta, not pot noodles, just pasta.
Yeah.
But what's your go-to post-match snack?
I'm actually doing something over the last probably in about a year now. I do something called simmer meals.
Simmer, yeah.
So I actually do them again because of how busy my life is with work, football. Let's say I leave the house at usually about 7. I don't get home some evenings till about 9:30.
Yeah, well,
So where can I find that time to? I can't get home at 9:30 and cook a full meal for an hour.
yeah.
So I might find sometimes after work, I'm having to heat up some food because I won't finish work till like 5:30. Heat up some food and have one of the simmer meals because then it's you're getting your good calories in, you're getting good
Convenient,
protein. Yeah. Yeah. I always eat healthily. To be fair, I always have to try and hit, obviously with my PT, hit certain calories, certain protein, carbs, and everything. So we've always, even at the academy level, had a sort of dietary requirements we had to sort of follow, and it sort of just stayed with me throughout life, really. So I've never really been fussed about takeaways or unhealthy food, really. It's just never really known about it, so you never really fussed about it. Yeah.
And obviously, I've seen a lot about simmer and stuff like that. And would you say it's convenient? You know, getting
It's perfect.
good food plus you heat up, so it saves
Exactly.
you time. And
Exactly. It saves so much time. Yeah, the convenience sort of side of it is perfect. I can just heat up the meals at school, but I still know the calories and everything. It's
the
still
right
high. I
thing,
think
yeah.
most of the meals are around about 1,000 calories, which is perfect. Good
yeah.
protein in there as well. So a lot of the time I'll have that before I go and then go and play football.
simmer sponsored us, man.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, and let's talk about obviously Mauritius, nice sunny. Was that your ideal holiday spot, or where would it be?
No, to be fair. Again, holidays, that's a tricky one as well. Being a school teacher and then footballer,
Which one? Yeah,
it's so hard to then find the time to go on holidays. You think, oh, you're a school teacher, you have loads of holidays, especially at the private school. I think we have about 90 something days off in
away
a year.
days. You got,
But
yeah.
you're still playing football throughout the season. And then obviously football finishes around end of April, early May time. So once the season finishes there, you're still teaching.
Mhm.
Then you finish work about mid-July from teaching, but you're back into pre-season already.
Exactly.
So I have to sometimes obviously let the managers know, like, look, I'm taking 2 weeks out pre-season because I have to go on holiday.
You need the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but then whilst I'm away on holiday, I still have to be doing running every day, gym every morning whilst on holiday. So, but no, Rhodes has been my ideal place in Greece the last few
Yeah, yeah.
years. Absolute lovely
A lot
place.
of history as well. So
Yeah,
it's a nice
Rhodes.
place.
Yeah, Rhodes has been gorgeous. Yeah, we've hired a car, hired a boat out and stuff out there, and yeah, done a lot of traveling
Relaxed.
around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about obviously non-league. What was your kind of craziest experience there? Because a lot of people say non-league is very different to the upper leagues.
What
Anything you remember?
crazy sort of stories?
Yeah.
Where do you want
If
to
you
start?
remember,
Where do you want to
seen
start? Weird one was probably at Chalfont, again, just sort of starting out, 17, 18 years old. And it's going to be weird, this one. In the showers and people are weeing on each other. And you're like, what on earth is going on? What am I seeing? It's like
Yeah.
a boy still. What on earth is going on?
Yeah.
So that was just a weird story and a half.
Bit of a weird
I
one.
just thought, what if I got myself signed up for a non-league when I saw that? Cool, I've had managers in the past. One manager drove a minibus and he didn't even have a driving license, and everyone was like, oh, God.
Dear me.
Yeah. And then you got classic managers turning up drunk to games, and you're like,
Standard. The usual.
standard
yeah.
thing in non-league, standard. And you're like, what on earth is this? Yeah, some stories there.
God, but hey, it's all laughs, isn't it? Laughs and giggles. But
Exactly.
unless you're in the minibus, you're like, oh.
Yeah,
what's
minibus,
going
that
on?
was a crazy experience, that one. Scary.
And the other side now, what's your craziest teaching experience?
Craziest teaching experience.
You go to a teacher or private school, so it's a bit different to
Yeah, it's so
usual
different.
public
It's
school.
so different to them what I experienced at school.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had some big people. We had at my old school, Jamiroquai, who was a massive singer.
Mhm.
You're probably a bit
Yeah,
young
yeah.
to even. Do you know
No,
Jamiroquai?
I haven't heard.
No,
of
I
it,
was gonna
no.
say you're too young for
Singer,
that. The older
yeah.
folks that are listening to this, they'll know who Jamiroquai is. One of the biggest singers in the world around sort of like 80s, 90s sort of time.
Uh-huh.
His daughters went to our school, and you're like, whoa. And he's turning up in this like £2 million Ferrari, and you're just like, it's a whole different
Yeah.
league,
World,
the
yeah.
private school to the state school. But no, the private school is brilliant, but it's a lot more demanding, I'd say, as a teacher,
Mhm.
because parents are on your back a bit more.
That's true. They
They're
want to get
on
their
your
money's
back.
worth. Yeah.
Exactly, and they sort of have that thought of, well, we're paying to be here, we want X, Y, and Z, which you can understand to an extent, but it's hard then being a teacher trying to keep hundreds of parents happy every day.
Exactly. Yeah. And the final question is, what's one advice you'd give to the viewers watching right now about life in general, from what you've
Life
seen?
in general, I'd probably say, is the commitment side
Mhm.
in whatever you want to do. The hunger you have for something, whether you want to be a teacher, a vet, work in an office, whatever you want to do, footballer, whatever you want to do sports-wise,
Mhm.
is the commitment side. Don't get distracted as well. If that's something that you want, don't get distracted. Keep your mind focused on that. Enjoy yourself as well.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed myself throughout my life. But I've always had the commitment that football is what I wanted. No matter what level it was, it's always been something I've wanted. So yeah, whatever you do, always be committed, always focus, work hard. It's always the classic sayings.
Yeah.
But what can you do to take yourself to the next level? As I said earlier, if you're the captain or something of the team, what can I do to be better than you?
Exactly.
On and off the pitch, that being as well.
Yeah. It's all about motion.
Exactly.
You have a vision, tunnel, and
Exactly.
then work your way up. And
Definitely.
yeah. So you've had a lovely conversation.
Yeah, it's been lovely. Thank you.
It's been a great experience as well. Two worlds, pretty much. You've got
Yeah.
the teaching and the football.
Two complete different worlds as well.
But there's key themes in both.
Yeah, but they come
Connecting.
together.
Exactly.
They come together as well.
Connecting and looking ahead,
Yeah.
future.
Definitely.
So thank you, Alexander, for coming on.
Thank you.
It's
Appreciate
been a pleasure having you.
Cheers.
And thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a thing or two about this, whether you're into that teaching side or whether you're into that football side. Just take some lessons out of it. There's a lot of key themes. So thank you for watching, guys, and take care. See you. Bye.
Alhamdulillah. Always. Been our loss. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.